freaking out. Do you see this? I'm freaking out right now. It's so weird, right? It's such a low reach. Oh God, it's so. Tom, do you see the news? It's everywhere. I have pictures of them on my phone, but I wasn't going to say that on camera. You shouldn't leave me in here with the vodka that long. Now we see why she was pushing so hard for that adoption. Because she was like, adopt this child so I can be in my gay lover relationship and you pay the bills. Really, Courtney?
Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Rebel channel. I am ready to rub about Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15 finale, and this episode gave a lot without getting a lot at the same time, because let's be real, you have Ralph and Drew not talking about anything, and why do we even need those clips? You have Kenya speaking out, production speaking out, the finale episode, you have Candy speak on it that was put on private, brought back, and it's like, listen, I don't think we have the time to sit here and talk about that all over again, but what I may do is go ahead and just make a separate video to discuss those things when it comes to Real Housewives of Atlanta, or I may group that into my reunion recap, which is like a season recap at the same time with the combination of what happened at the reunion. I may do that because there's only going to be 2 parts, so we know that video won't be as long as like the other ones I give. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. I want to start off with some people that had scenes that were like not that dramatic or very, too much for the finale episode, because there were like 2 scenes that kind of led up into the craziness, so I want to get the other ones out of the way. We're going to start off with Sheree, because her son, and her grandbaby, they're at this play area, and basically what's going on is we see her crawling. She's trying to get to the phone. It's really cute. We see later on in the episode, Sheree and her daughter are having a conversation when they're in the car. They're talking about stress and different things that can help with that. They talk about it's acupuncture. I had to Google it to make sure I said it right. So yeah, they're talking about that. And then they're also in the car discussing, because Sheree literally lets us know that, listen, she's not going to stress about anything. Bill collectors can call her, and this was the most realest thing I think I've heard on a reality TV show. She said bill collectors can call her, and she's not going to stress. She's not getting no wrinkles for these people. If I don't have it, you don't have it. And I was like, it makes sense. While that is the realest thing I heard, we all heard the rumors when it comes to Sheree, so that her statement right here tells it all. We also see her and her daughter talking about, Sheree's ex-husband, her dad, he raised her. They talk about him and having a whole nother daughter and Sheree not knowing, because we all know last episode he said that Sheree was on a need-to-know basis when it came to other things within his life. And listen, Sheree says she feels like the daughter should not, well, not just the daughter, but she felt like the kids didn't have to tell her anything, whereas the viewers felt like they should have said anything. And the daughter also reveals that she did learn about it at a dinner. He did have another daughter. He brought that up to him, and she just felt like she didn't have to say it. So listen, it depends on what it is for me. When it comes to the baby stuff, I would have told my mom. That's just me, but hey. Then we have Kenya. Kenya, we see her and her daughter. They're doing a cute little scene where she's doing her daughter hair, using Kenya Moore hair care products. I feel like this scene would have been great had they had shown her spa opening, because that would have tied everything in. We see them using it at home. We're also going to see the stuff in the spa. Great promotion, but we didn't get that. We also see Kenya, her dad, and her daughter at home. We all learned that her dad did not see Brooklyn until about a year ago, and I'm thinking maybe that's due to COVID and him trying to get down there and so forth, but we learned that they're establishing that relationship. We also see Kenya bring up the fact that she wants to have another baby, and he's looking at her like, why would you want to do that when you literally almost passed the last time because of that? Because we all hear all the time that having a baby, giving birth, is like, 1 foot here and the other foot somewhere else. It's life or death when it comes to that stuff. It can be a lot, but Kenya's like, slow your roll a little bit. I want to have a baby, but I'm not saying I'm going to push it out. I want somebody that can have it for me. I want a surrogate. That's what you want to do. And I was like, you know what, Kenya, yes. You've been talking about that for the past couple of episodes. I think that is the best route. Can we just get that pushed in motion? So then she also lets us know that, she has the rights to her eggs and different things like that. So she doesn't have to go through her ex-husband. Well, not ex-husband yet. We're still waiting to see that because they've been divorcing for a long time. We're going to see how that plays out. Then there's Marlo. Marlo is doing well. This is the stuff we want to see from Marlo compared to the Candy drama and other things that she says about people that it's just kind of like, why would you hit below the belt? So we learned that L'Archive is doing well. She has worked with Tammy Roman. She has worked with Cynthia. She has worked with Garcelle, you know, the one from Beverly Hills, and she used to be on the Jamie Foxx show. They made sure to bring that up because, listen, she has a lineage of doing a lot. So we learned that that is thriving. We see her and her man Scott Lee are still going strong. I know a lot of people felt like, you know, are they really a thing? Are they not? I questioned it at first, but I was like, who am I to say anything? That's just me. I try not to do the whole gossiping thing, but based off of what we see on the show and also what we see on the outside, based off of what her friends and other people say, their relationship seems real. So we want to see how that plays out because it looks like he actually makes her happy. So I was like, kudos to Marlo. Then there's Sanya. This scene revealed so much, and it kind of helped us understand why she really speaks out on stuff very, very soon. So we learned that her and Marlo decides to come visit her because her husband couldn't be there. But Dr. Jackie steps in. Dr. Jackie lets her know that you are 5 weeks and 5 days. And Sanya is shocked because she's looking like, hey, you said I was 5 weeks last week. What's going on? I can't go backwards. Not her husband, her son. Her son is going to be confused. And she's like, I would not involve your son anymore into this process. And she's like, it's too late. I feel like I would not have told my son that early either, but we now learn why she's doing what she's doing. Listen, Sanya lets us know that whenever she was born, her parents always kind of made it seem like she was the star and this and that, and we know that's probably happened because she was the athlete and different stuff like that. So her sister felt some type of way. She felt like she was on the side, and she never wants her kids to feel like that. Their dogs are going wild. Y'all probably hear that because I'm not on the other mic. I'm on this mic because the other mic was also giving me troubles last time I did my review. So yeah, but she doesn't want the younger child to feel any less than the oldest child. I understand that. So if she did the first pregnancy big, she wanted to do the second pregnancy big. I just wouldn't have told everybody so soon because we did later learn in the end of the episode, based off of production getting clips later on, that she actually had a miscarriage. And y'all, during this scene was a lot. I don't tear up a lot. I don't. It has to be a lot to make me really tear up. But I almost teared up in that scene because I was like, well, not in that scene because I wasn't in that scene, but I almost teared up watching that scene because you can see the real raw emotion. A lot of people say different things when it comes to Sanya, but one thing you cannot take from her is she gives real reality TV. This is stuff that people really go through. This is different things that people really battle in real life. It doesn't come off as being made up. So I actually enjoy seeing that type of stuff. Not saying I enjoy seeing that on TV, but I enjoy seeing the realness of that on TV because we get so much of fakeness in reality TV now to where it's like, is noticeable. But when it comes to her scene, we see her tear up. She's talking with her mom. She lets us know that she was out of town on business. She learned some things weren't going right. She had the miscarriage. It was a lot. She had to deal with that by herself. And then we see her talk about how when she came home, we see even the clips, y'all, when they show the son praying over her stomach, praying for a healthy baby sister. And that was a lot to see in that moment. So you can see how that weighs down on her because she does not want to lie to her kids. So she was like, you know what? I have to tell Deuce the truth because he's asking. So she says she lets him know and he starts to cry. And I'm like, that is a lot for a little kid to take on at that moment. So I understood where she was coming from and you could just see it weighing on her. So I do think also though, because we've seen the People magazine, we've seen the clips for the reunion, it's a blessing to know that they actually had their rainbow baby. So it was definitely a light at the end of that tunnel. Now I want to pivot the conversation a little bit and I want to talk about Candy because her and Todd was having a conversation about working together, different things like that. We learned that they want to have an event to show off the past, their movie, and he also lets us know, Todd also lets us know that he doesn't want it to be over 100 people. Well, later on in the episode, we learned that it was about 200 or over 200 people that showed up, so it was more than expected. Then I want to get on to the Ralph and Drew thing because that leads into the Todd and Candy event. Listen, Drew is tired. Drew has been filming for about 7 to 10 days or something like that. I can't remember. And she also did say that they were filming until 3 a.m. She asked during this time from the past couple episodes for Ralph to step up and help out because it is a lot. Now, we learned during this scene that he has not been sleeping in a room because he says she gets in at 3 a.m. and it bothers him. It wakes him up and different stuff like that. Now, in that moment, I understand that because I am somebody that sleeps a little harder than like my husband does. Like I heard them dogs barking not that long ago. That will wake him up and then he just, you know, can't go back to sleep. So I understand that type of stuff. But we see in this scene also that I did not like, because we also learned that that's just not it either. But we see him bring up, well, you know, she asked him how he's been doing. He's like, you know, I've been working, you know, grinding while you've been doing your sex scenes. And it's like, sir, the movie is more than just that. I'm pretty sure, I have not seen the movie, but I'm pretty sure that's like 1-2 scenes max. She's an actress. That is her work. So to diminish that is very tacky, and it shows what type of jersey you really wear when it comes to your wife. We also learned that he really didn't help out because, you know, who knows the real reason Ralph chose not to help out around the house when it comes to getting the kids ready for school, because Drew had to get up after getting in at 3 a.m. and do all that. But I believe I did not touch on the fact that she tells him about what Courtney said about her. Courtney calling her the B word. Is it that big of a deal? Probably not. Did Courtney say it? Yes, she did. We learn on later on in the episode that it actually was where I was wrong. I thought she was talking about Sanya. She actually was talking about Drew. And she also said in the speak on it that when she said it about Drew, it was basically in reference to what she was saying in that moment. And she was just bringing up what Drew had said whenever she was talking about, what's that girl's name?
A few moments later.
LaToya. Yeah, it was a long pause and I had to cut it because I could not remember that girl. I don't know why my mind be spacing out like that, but I definitely, yes, it was LaToya. So listen, when it comes to that, Ralph is sitting there and he's like, so what do you want me to do? Everyone has called you that name before. And she's basically like, if I don't rock with somebody, you don't rock with them. And he was like, basically saying that's stupid. Like, she didn't do nothing to me. She didn't say nothing to me. And it just comes off where it's like, yeah, that's true. Like, do you expect him to really go off on a woman? Like, he shouldn't do that. But in this instance, it's one of those things where it's like, Ralph, if that's supposed to be your quote unquote cousin, then talk to your quote unquote cousin so that there's no issues. If she's saying it's bothering her, it's bothering her. And, you know, it kind of goes into when Drew goes downstairs because she's fed up and her sister asks what's wrong. And at first we see her say nothing and he comes down. Is everything okay? Oh, and I do want to point out, did y'all see that smile when she was walking out of the room? Ralph is full of it. So we know what's going on here. So she's sitting at the counter in the kitchen when her sister asks her that. And she's like, oh, nothing's wrong. He comes down, asks her, is everything okay? And Drew is just fed up in that moment. And I think she kind of overreacted a little bit here. But what she's saying is very valid because we can't sit here and act like this man, like with a husband like Ralph who really needs enemies. She basically says, do you remember whenever you sat there and you asked Courtney, did she curse me out or call me that name? And her sister's like, yeah, she said she didn't, da 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 da. Ralph jumps in and he says, you call her that, so what's the issue? So that's when the sister says, well,
let me help you. If she called her a banana, she don't like it. How about that? So if it's something that bothers her, that's all you start with. That's it, Ralph.
Allison, I got this. Trust me.
This. And she's like, I didn't want to be a part of this. Y'all brought me into this, which they did. You asked her, she commented, and what she said is very valid. If your wife says she doesn't like it, then sir, why can't you just handle it saying, hey, we're cousins, but come on now. But we learn on, based on the speak on it, he has said some other stuff about Drew. So of course, in this moment, he's not gonna have her back. Drew gets up, asks to be unmiked, and she's like crying hysterically. He's like, why are you crying? And she's like, you embarrassed me. And while it's true, should it really have caused her to cry like that? Probably not, but maybe it's just built up over all the other stuff over the seasons, including this season, because when does Ralph really just take up for Drew? I don't know. So yeah, I get it. He constantly embarrasses her. She's frustrated. You see the sister tearing up because why are you doing this to my sister? It's clear why he didn't want the sister around, because she's going to check him when he's wrong. Then we get the scene when they go to Dr. Ken. They get to Dr. Ken. And we learn that Ralph still has not gone back to the bedroom. So that lets us know that his excuse for why he was outside of the bedroom is not valid. Then they talk about the oldest son, including the younger ones. They're now questioning what's really going on because they're noticing that he is no longer in the room. He's sleeping in the guest room. They even said, based off of what Drew said, that the son basically said they tried to go sleep in there with him and he didn't even want them in there. So he's basically looking at Drew as if she's a liar, which we know she does lie. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. We catch her in it all the time on the show. But she has the receipts. She's showing it on the phone. She's even talking to him about it. You know, they're sitting there talking about the stuff. And he's literally like, you're over-exaggerating. That's not true. It's all about how you say it. Drew said it like this, and she basically says she doesn't know. And no, she's telling you what she told the son, and she's letting you know the son and the other children are questioning it. They're worried at this point. You're showing the other ones that there is some issues. And in this moment, I was just saying, like, sir, like, just say you don't want to be with your wife at this point, because why every time she says something, it's very combative. Like, I'm with Ralph when he's right, which is rare. But in this moment, it's like you're literally missing everything she's saying, and you're doing it on purpose. Even Dr. Ken was sitting there looking like, y'all really need marriage counseling. It ain't no separate thing. Y'all need to come together, because it's really something going on, and we got to put our finger on it. We don't understand what the real issue is. He even said in that scene that, you know, me being in a room by myself is very liberating. You know, she likes the room hot. I like it freezing. And I'm sitting like,
what? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
how does that really make sense with what you're talking about right now? He literally sat there and brought up that her friends sleep in different rooms, as if that was a good example. And y'all know people do that all the time, comparing apples to oranges. And she was sitting there looking like, they're divorced. He sat there and said, well, who doesn't get a divorce? And then smiles. Y'all, this man plays with her every time. Now we get to the event. Drew comes in. We see the stars on the ground. She's excited. We learned that Todd wanted her to perform, so she's going to perform her song. And then we also see the women come in. Now, when everybody comes in, they're having a good time. We see her mom, Candy's mom, Mama Joyce. She's speaking to Cynthia, and she's looking at her fingers like, what's going on? She's like, yes, I'm divorced, because we did learn earlier in the episode that Cynthia is finally divorced, and she was looking at Kenya like, come on now, how did I get married after you and still got divorced before you? We are still trying to figure that out. We are, Cynthia. We're trying to figure that out. After that, we see Drew coming down. She's speaking to everybody. Now, we see her speak to Ty, and I will say, y'all, Drew be overcompensating in speech and also in her mannerisms, because if you look at how she hugged Ty compared to how she hugs everybody else, it is literally a big difference. Ma'am, if you didn't want nobody to know if that's the case, one, I believe you should just speak your truth, because if she was claiming that's not what she was, but yeah, just speak your truth. And if that's not what you want to do, then, you know, turn from it or whatever. But in this moment, it's like, Drew, you definitely, it's something going on, and it's odd, because why did you react in that way? Now, she speaks to everybody. Everybody's talking. We see Courtney try to speak to Allison, and Allison is like, ma'am, I don't mess with you. It kind of reminded me of that time when it was on Potomac. It was Giselle and Wendy. And people was like, did y'all see how she... I was like, listen, I understand. They had issues last season, even though it was Giselle's fault. But I understand Giselle been like, girl, don't roll up on me. We're not friends. We're not that cool. But it's the same. It gave the same energy right here. So they go to the side to talk. You know, it's Courtney and Allison. Allison is like, I thought you said you didn't call my sister that. And she was like, I did. So she admits in this scene that she actually did, but it was in reference to what Drew was saying, kind of what she said on Candy's Speak On It. And I was like, well, then why you just didn't say that from the beginning? And then why is this big of a deal? Y'all was trying to make it more than what it, like, I know a lot of people are not here for Courtney right now, but in that moment, I'd have probably been like, okay, what else? Like, it's, how much are we going to keep talking about that? You get what I'm saying? So then we get to Drew singing. She did well. And then we get the women's like end of the season type of stuff where they tell us what really are they up to now. And then we get the scenes, because production is out of line for this part here. Production basically said they refilmed some more because everything that happened, because we learned Ralph and Drew were going through a divorce. And I'm thinking we're going to get some real clips, and all we got was some confessionals of them not even telling us what needs to be said. So we see Drew making her way to the confessional. You know, she said she just filed the day before. She actually beat Ralph down to the courthouse. I remember social media was talking about that. And, you know, I don't laugh at anybody's like demise of divorce or different things like that, but I'm not gonna sit there and act like the memes y'all were making weren't hilarious, because it did seem like they were racing to the courthouse when Marlo said that they was like the Mario Kart thing. That was actually funny because that's what it seemed like in that moment. Now, when they get there, she's getting her makeup, hair, all that done for the confessionals. We see that Sheree is there filming hers, and Sheree goes to check on her. And before that, it is a little weird because when Marlo and Sheree were talking about it, they were laughing at it. But in this scene, she's, can I check on you? Drew, once again, these people are not your friend. So while they're sitting there having that conversation, we actually learned that Sheree lost her dad. And I was like, man, I feel bad for her because that's a lot. And you have to still film that. We also learned that Drew's mom goes back home to check on her dad, which we know now, you know, hindsight 2020, that her dad actually passed away as well just recently. So when you got that, you're going through a divorce, you got the people coming at you all on social media and different stuff, that is a lot to bear at once, and I don't agree with that. Now, she gets to the confessional and they're having a conversation. Now, Ralph actually did his confessional, I believe it was a day later, but you know, they're showing everything back to back, side by side, whatever. So when they're talking, they're like, well, did he ever come back to the room? Drew says yes, he says no. We don't know which one it is, but based off of what's really being said and how that last stuff was with Dr. Ken, I believe he probably really didn't go back to the room. Then they start to talk about her relationship with Ty. She said she met her on Candy's set for the past, her and Todd's set for the past. And we see that Ralph is basically like, you know, they are just friends. That's all I can say about it. Bottom line, every time production was asking something, they couldn't give us anything because of what the lawyer said. So if that's the case, why did we even have this confessional? Then we get Courtney coming in to say, well, Ralph said, and listen, this is why I put that DJ Richie Skye stuff in the beginning, because it was hilarious, because that's literally what that confessional looked like with that hot moment, because she was telling everything and it was always Ralph said. And I'm gonna get into that a little later when I do the other review, because y'all, it's giving, what does Courtney say? Courtney doesn't have anything to say. It's always what Ralph said. You're really going to believe everything that Ralph said when both him and Drew be doing stuff? Come on, you got to decipher the information. You can't just believe one side. So in the end, we see her, after saying the stuff she said about their relationship and Drew possibly having a lover and other stuff like that, spilling all the information that she did not have to spill, she then goes in to bring up Drew's son. And that's where I was sitting there, y'all, and I wish I could have captured that in real time. Like, maybe I should do something like that and be watching in real time or whatever. But I was sitting there watching and I was like, girl, no, you didn't.
You done lost your mind. When you get your mind, you call me.
Why did you bring up that baby? And she was basically trying to say, oh, that's why she wanted to have Ralph adopt him so that he could pay all the bills and do that when it comes to the...
Are you there, beloved? Were you there?
No, but like I said,
End of story. Good night.
You don't do that. You don't do that type of stuff. And she was flat out wrong there. And I don't care what anybody else has to say. This is why people feel like Courtney should not be on the show. Because, ma'am, and Candy, I don't recall you. Listen, yeah, we're going to get into the speak on it. So, yeah, that was the review for the episode, y'all. Let me know what y'all think of season 15. It didn't give as much as we thought, and it's causing quite a spectacle on social media because now you have production speaking out and Kenya speaking out. What did you think of the finale? I think the finale gave what the full season should have gave. We've seen production say something along the lines of they had to go back and re-edit to get the finale and a couple of other episodes together to end the season off right. And I'm like, had you done your job beforehand, that's a whole nother conversation. So yeah, that's my review, and I will see y'all really, really soon.